Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast, brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee. Remember to use that promo code DNVR20 because when you do, you get 20% off your entire purchase of that CBD-infused, deliciously rich and potentially life-altering Strava Craft Coffee. Today's podcast is scheduled for one fall, and in this corner, beginning first from Toms River, New Jersey, weighing in at an undisclosed amount, he has held 0 championships in 0 federations, but is your favorite DNVR Rockies beat writer, Sir Patrick Lyons. Oh, wow.
What's up, brother?
That is an entire look. And in the other corner, of course, your champion. He has held gold in New Era, Primos, Colorado Springs, from the great state of Colorado, weighing in at an undisclosed amount, Cormac Battle!
What's up, man? Stoked to
What's
finally
going on?
I'm glad I dressed up so Patrick didn't show me up, man. Look at the clutch show, though, brother. Look at him.
That is amazing.
Those 24 pythons.
This is 17, 18, maybe.
12 and 3/4. 12 and 3/4. All right.
Thank
Now
you
you know why I
all
was
for
growing
joining
this
us
mustache
for what you can obviously tell is not your standard edition of the podcast here on our fun Wednesday DFA show. You got to make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, and you're here for this, by the way, if you're wondering what everyone's talking about, because our guy Patrick Lyons has his best look going. And our guest today is Cormac Battle, local wrestler who's got a number of things, a man after my very own heart, someone who refuses to stay in a lane. When I first saw you, I thought, there's a guy who I'm sure has been told, stay in a lane. You can't be the marching band guy and the wrestling guy, or you can't be the Disney guy and the wrestling guy. You can't be a huge baseball guy and the wrestling guy, but you're all of those things. Tell us how that came to be.
Yeah, man, I think that the best parts about wrestling are when you let yourself be, turned into this larger-than-life idea, and that's what I was looking for. I just kind of, this is who I am. I'm a guy that loves Disney movies. I like watching them. I love baseball. I love sports. Baseball's always been one that's closest to my heart. I love being in marching bands and playing trombone, and so I figured, I may as well take all these things and turn them into this wrestling product. And so far it's worked out pretty well. A couple bumps and bruises and, torn rotator cuffs along the way. But beyond that, it's gone pretty okay for me.
You got to live the gimmick. I think that's what, really can attract fans.
Yeah.
I myself have had a couple of hip injuries.
Cool.
If I'm going to continue with my gimmick here, although I lost the voice is gone completely, entirely.
Oh.
But yeah, you've been on the scene. You've won a couple of championships. How long have you been in the wrestling game, as it were?
Yeah, so I actually my first match will be 6 years ago on March 1st of this year. So that was the first match I had in 2015. I had trained about 6 months prior. So yeah, just about 6 years, kind of jumping between different places in Colorado and then obviously outside the state as well.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, you can talk a little bit about how good the scene is in Denver, because when I moved out here, coming from the East Coast, down the street is, ECW Arena and all this stuff. You go, well, we'll see what Denver has. And I was really taken aback by a lot of the really good promotions. And there's a real passionate group here in Denver, isn't there?
That really is, man. That's awesome to hear, man, especially from somebody who doesn't have a lot of ties to Denver originally. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, man, it's crazy because it's even so different now than when I first started. There's some promotions that I wrestled for now that weren't around when I began. So I started my journey. I was at now it's called Rocky Mountain Pro. They're fantastic. We were doing weekly live television for a hot second, which no one else had ever done around here. Drew mentioned New Era Pro Wrestling. They're fantastic. They run out of Mile High Comics. Great family show. A lot of phenomenal talent there. Colorado Springs Wrestling is a great spot to go up to. You know, they've got some outdoor shows and some live music. You got to, you know, go with your buddies, grab a drink, and have a good time. And then obviously Primo's Pro Wrestling in Denver takes place at the Watering Bowl. So they literally have like a dog park plus bar plus show. And then
that's a rowdy show, man.
That's a rowdy show. It is a rowdy show. And then Lucha Libre and Laughs is a promotion in Denver. They kind of run a different couple of spots, most at the Oriental Theater, and that's a great show because you get to go there and you hear, you know, you see a match and then you hear stand-up comedy and then a match and then stand-up and then a match. And so there's all these different kind of forms of wrestling, all these different ideas. And you're right, man. There's so many guys that have come from Denver and who are really starting to make a big name for themselves in this state and then also without. Some even worldwide, actually, now. And so it's so cool to see all these different people from all these different walks of life. And like I said, I'm not old hat or nothing like that. I've only been wrestling for barely 6 years. I'm a baby boy still. But even in that amount of time, I've seen so many guys come through who are so talented, and ladies, of course, that are so talented and who are either on the big stage currently or will be shortly. So it's awesome to be a part of it. And to hear that somebody comes in without much of a background in Denver specifically, talk highly of it, that actually means more than you can possibly know, man. That's great to hear. I appreciate you saying it.
Absolutely.
And Liam, I want to get an answer to some of Cormac's favorite wrestlers of all time, some of the people that have inspired you. But actually what you just said allows me to tell a little bit of my re-origin story here and how I got into the local Denver wrestling scene and discovered you, because I was a fan of pro wrestling when I was a kid, like a lot of people. And then I convinced myself that I had grown out of it into college and early adulthood. And Patrick and I have talked about this a lot, how both of us kind of missed that like Daniel Bryan, CM Punk era. Yeah. And just weren't around for that, right? It was like once Stone Cold and The Rock were gone and Kane took off his mask, I was out.
Of course.
And then, a whole generation happened. And then, I'm sitting there with the girlfriend one day and The Rock and John Cena come on TV. You know how sometimes The Rock or John Cena is on your television? Mm-hmm. She had seen some Undertaker shirts in the closet and said, "Hey, isn't that a thing you used to be into?" And I said, yeah, I really, I went through that phase. I did the whole thing or whatever. Right around the corner, I had 30th birthday coming up. Goldberg was coming to town. She went, let's get tickets. Let's go down to the Pepsi Center. It's your birthday. I'm kind of fascinated by this whole thing. I've never really seen it. Let's go to a show. And so she fell in love with it at that show where we're chanting Goldberg all show and he's coming back. It's this big return, right? What a great one to be at. But then a week later, Rey Mysterio was doing something in town, I think with IWC or maybe it was a cross promo thing with all these local ones. Mm-hmm. She goes and she snaps a couple of photos and she goes, "Oh, I like this. I like the theater. I like the colors. I like the drama. I like the characters. And then we go to one more local show, and it was at New Era, and we're at a comic book store, and out comes this guy in full marching band regalia, playing his trombone, not just holding the trombone, ladies and gentlemen, playing it. I think you had filter that night, but I also do believe that Hunter Gray ran interference. And so there was like a Viking and a guy in a marching band suit and a literal giant standing in the ring. And I was like, I think I'm going to like it here. I think I found a home. Yeah.
I remember that show because or part of me remembers that show. Oh, good. Yeah, there you go. Oh, me kicking somebody. That's a nice change from what I normally see. Appreciate that. That's awesome, man.
I gotta say, I think we do have one of you getting ready to choke slam filter, but I don't think it went the way you were expecting to.
For a bit of this history, we don't got to go into the details of it, but that's awesome, man. It's so cool to hear about that. Shouts to Caitlin, by the way. CM Rice Photography. She's so great at what she does. I love her work, and a lot of the pictures I'm sure you guys will show here are partly Caitlin's. Man, shows like that are such a blast. I beat Filter following this picture, by the way. Don't let anybody tell you different. That's me. I remember
everything went well from there.
It's so cool meeting new people at shows like that, and I really do think if you have somebody that has never watched wrestling before, I don't know that necessarily watching it on TV, or even somebody who has watched wrestling and isn't, I don't know if they'll necessarily like it again. But I guarantee you, if you take someone to an independent wrestling show, or obviously if WWE or whoever happens to be in town, sure, but even take them to an independent wrestling show, some people might not necessarily love it. They might not necessarily want to come back to each show afterwards, but I guarantee you they'll never forget the experience, and they will tell their friends about the time that they had every single time it happens.
That's probably the number one experience I have sitting either at Watering Bowl or Mile High Comics. And everyone else is working. Caitlin's working, you're working. I'm sitting there enjoying the show, throwing them back. And people that don't know wrestling who just like came into the bar or whatever go, man, this is more fun than I thought it would be. Because when it's right in front of you, you really get a much deeper appreciation for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when I was a kid, you know, the rock and wrestling was big, and they were on Saturday morning cartoons, and so it was very popular. And I think as you grow up, that kind of fades away. But for me, I got to see, you know, some shows live. Or I saw one show when I was a kid live, and it happened to be WrestleMania 4. So Macho Man goes over, in Atlantic City. We got Macho Man bobblehead up there, looking sharp. He's around during. Yeah, so that got me hooked, and you know, fell out of it a little bit in middle school, and then you hear, wait, Hulk Hogan is now a bad guy? I'm back in, and that got it going again. And then again with generations, you know, as a school teacher, I had students who were into wrestling, and I go, all right, let me check this out, you know, for them, so I can build a better connection. And I've been back ever since, and it's been really. It's exciting, man. You got to go to a show and just learn about these characters because they're like living superheroes in a lot of ways. And I think that's how you have to go about viewing it and go about portraying the characters as well.
Everybody has that guy, man, that you saw on TV or you saw live, whatever. You're like, that dude's not human, right? Like that dude is on a different level, right? For me, when I first started watching, it was Eddie Guerrero. Like the first wrestling match I ever saw was a SmackDown episode my buddy showed me when I was like, 7, 9 years old maybe, and it was Eddie Guerrero was in a steel cage match, JBL, and he went to the top of the steel cage, and I didn't know nothing about wrestling, but my friend had told me, okay, well, if he gets out of the cage, he'll win, right? That's it. The match is over. Okay, great. And Eddie Guerrero stands at the top of the cage, he thinks about it, and he says, no, I hate this guy so much, I want to do one more thing. He jumps off the top of the cage, hits this frog splash. That was it for me. I was like, this dude is not a human being. This guy is on a completely different level. I was hooked from then on. I had no choice. It was so encapsulated and so enrapturing to me. It was, everybody has that guy, you know, that one guy that you're on a different plane of existence than I am.
Yeah. You started to mention earlier, and I wanted to, before we move on, give you a chance to put over some of the people that you've worked with here locally. We showed a couple of pictures there. You have battled the demon Abaddon. That must have been a fun and
it wasn't,
horrifying experience.
I still have like the slime that I'm trying to get out of my gear to this day. But yeah, Abaddon's incredible. She's obviously killing it on the literally the biggest stage in the world, AEW. This was live, so last week she wrestled Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. So awesome to see her in that role. God, there's so many guys, man. There's so many guys. Cody Devine is my boy. He's a TV talent waiting to happen. It's just waiting for somebody to take a flyer on him. Filter, Big Phil Dog, who you showed a picture of earlier. He is a generational talent. He is that brother right there is he's a guy that's gonna make a lot of money doing this. There's no question in my mind whatsoever. Logan Austin is a younger guy who's so talented. He's an incredible athlete, high flying. Like he does flips and stuff that blow my mind.
When I found out how young he was, I was like, no,
crazy. Yeah, it's nuts. We haven't even taken him out for his first drink yet. Like he's amazing. Benjamin Cumberbatch, sort of like a more hardcore deathmatchy guy.
Sounds like it with that name.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
He is such a great mind for wrestling and for the style of wrestling that he has chosen to kind of like really sink his teeth into. He's incredible. There's so many people. Lipto, Atiba, you've got guys like it's hard for me to think of people because there's just so many incredible talents around here. I'm so lucky to met Royce Isaacs as a guy. You won't see him right now because he is too busy starting something new, his new journey, because he's been in Japan. He was in the NWA. He's probably gonna be on TV by the time this comes out. You know what I'm saying? Like he's amazing. Right. He started in Denver. He is now an international guy. He's incredible. So there's just so many great talents that I've gotten to work with. I could literally spend the rest.
Jobbing out on Dark, right? Ryzen, man, right?
Ryzen's great. Yeah, Ryzen's a Denver guy. If anybody watches Ring of Honor,
he's so good.
He's so good, man. Dak Draper in Ring of Honor. He was originally here in Denver. He's fantastic. So there's just so many people, man. Like I could literally go all day, but yeah, I'm lucky to know, Heidi Howitzer, some of the girls, right? Heidi Howitzer, Rochelle Riveter, Ali Gatto, girls like that, man. There's so much talent here. I'm rambling, but yeah, man, like I got a lot of friends that are all so talented and so close to just taking that next step into superstardom.
Now, have you heard of or worked with Sparky? G?
I don't think so.
Okay, so yeah, that was my gimmick about 20 years ago when I was a referee. I love to take bumps, and I was blessed enough. I was blessed enough to work with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. Tito Santana. Was able to do a main event with Tito. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow.
Totally blew a spot, but he was very nice to me after. And Mr. Balls Mahoney, rest in peace, whose forehead looked like a rotten apple, and I could put my thumb through it. Very nice guy. Balls was very nice.
Balls is, I've always heard Balls is good. That's awesome, man. That's so cool. Sparky.
So if you need a manager,
never been said on this podcast.
There you go.
Balls is very nice.
You need a manager, or you need a referee on the take. I'm willing to take a kendo stick. I've done it before. I like to bump.
Call Sparky. That's awesome. That's so cool. Love it.
I think I could only fulfill the role of the mouthpiece that just talks way too much trash and then hides behind someone of Cormac's size and lets him do all the work. Like that's the only thing I could do in that world.
Drew's the manager. Patrick is my, evil conniving referee, and I'm the big heel, man. We got a stable right here, brother. We got a stable.
There you go.
That's it.
Undoubtedly. Although Drew, your nickname would have to be down in front Creasman because you're so damn tall that everyone in the first 5 rows are like, we can't see the match. This is the worst ref just because I don't know what's going on in there.
It's called heat. What that is.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Road Warrior heat, maybe.
That's right. That's exactly it. Oh yeah.
Well, I am going to toast my Breck brew of the day to one of the following people, which, by the way, I poured into this Chocobo mug. I know you're a video game guy there as well. Because Ali and RK were giving me a hard time about drinking RK specials, both at one at a time, and they told me to put it in a glass. So I put it in a glass, if you guys are listening. I did what you told me to. I got my Breck brew, and we're going to decide of these following wrestlers could make good to great ball players and what their positions would be, and toast our Breck brews on the day to them. Kale, show us one of those wrestling folks with a belt hanging out at a baseball stadium. Who we got first? Oh man.
Okay, good.
Hardy Boys wearing some Mets jerseys right here. We'll forgive them that.
Yeah.
Is this an up the middle tandem? Is this like a shortstop second baseman combination here?
I was gonna say the exact same thing. Jeff is kind of that guy who will, kind of do some of the higher flying stuff, and then Matt's a little bit more grounded, right? He's more analytical and more based in sort of his own machinations. And so I think that they're definitely shortstop. I got Jeff at shortstop, and I've got Matt at second base holding it down. Jeff will make the fancy plays. Jeff will, dive for the ground balls. He might jump into left field or snag something, but Matt's going to hold it down at second base. He's Mr. He's Mr. Consistency. Yeah, that's a bad duo right there for shortstop and second baseman. That's my pick.
Oh, Patrick, you're muted. Oh no. You muted yourself.
If Jeff Hardy's range starts to go there late in his career, I could see him, converting into center field, robbing some home runs. And it wouldn't even be about robbing the home run. It's when he comes off the wall with the senton. Yeah. And you're like, that was a nice little flourish. Kind of like Jim Edmonds, how he liked to lay out when he didn't need to.
Absolutely.
Jeff Hardy's getting creative after the catch.
I like that.
So I've been to 2 WWE shows in my whole life. One was the Goldberg show I mentioned earlier. The other one was when I was like 12 years old. We went to a SmackDown when it was Y2J was undisputed champion. That's kind of the era to put you in there. And I witnessed a very rare injury to Jeff Hardy. For all the crazy shit he's done in his career, he did a senton off the top of a ladder through a table in a match against RVD and broke something and was out for a couple of weeks or whatever. But yeah, that happened. Jeff Hardy's always been one of my favorites because he didn't some random SmackDown in Denver that had nothing going on, and he jumped off a ladder and broke his leg for me. So
lay out,
12 years old.
I was a big Hardy mark even before their first WrestleMania. They were on Sunday Night Heat. I would get my cassette tape out and record I marked out hard. And I created 2 full VHS tapes I called The Road to WrestleMania, all Hardy Boy matches. It was fantastic.
My man, that's awesome. That's so cool. That's old school. I love it. Yeah, Hardy
That's
Boys,
hardcore.
legends. That's hardcore.
Tape trade.
I think I had a shirt that said, one of their shirts that said "Fear is just a 4-letter word" or some nonsense like that. I love the Hardys, man.
You like
All right,
those,
Kale.
bring back those fishnet shirts they used to wear. I love those.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Alexa.
Yeah, Alexa Bliss.
I love Alexa Bliss. I was like not sure about her when she first debuted on Maine, and I've like one of the biggest converts I've ever had. But she looks great with the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Yankees again. We'll forgive the Yankee uniform though. She rocks the pinstripes.
Yes. But
I feel like
man,
she's a catcher. I don't know. What do you think?
really interesting catcher. I was going to say she's short, so maybe a DH. And hear me out. I know she doesn't have the power probably, but she's real small, right? She's like 5'2", something like that. She's got that small strike zone. She's gonna get you on base, right? Put her towards like the top of the order. She's not gonna, she's not gonna hit a whole lot of home runs, but she's gonna get on base consistently because that strike zone's there. And I think
kind of a Jamie Carroll role.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, yeah. That's where I put her. Catcher's probably pretty good too, just because she does have that smaller frame. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, but she's incredibly athletic. Has the cheerleading background. So again, great physique and whatnot. I think she'd be, if it wasn't for Jose Altuve, I'd be a little bit worried about her ability. But she's a good about 6 inches taller than Jose Altuve, as it were. So she'd fit in fine at second base for sure.
I like it. Excellent.
Love it. She's doing fantastic work these days, I gotta say.
Yeah. Alexa makes it work.
She's great. Who else we got? Super producer, tech boy.
Mr. Tyler Black.
Monday Night Rollins.
Dare I say.
Sure. Yeah.
Put me down.
Now, see, nothing offensive about wearing an Orioles jersey. No one's ever had a problem with that. Way to go, Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, if anything. But, boy, Seth Rollins, put me down for third base. I tell you what, Seth Rollins is one of the most insane athletes you'll ever see. I'm feeling third base or maybe like a center field sort of deal. I just think he's got that range. He's such a great athlete. He can jump. His reaction time is crazy. He's got a great arm, obviously. You can see him slinging these 300-pound monsters like Brock Lesnar across the ring. I really think that he slots in at a defensively difficult spot. So for me, I'm going to put him either at center field or third base. I think he shacks fly balls, no problem. He'll lay out. He'll probably do like a 360 Phoenix, 580 whatever, snag the ball, or solid third baseman, the Arenado type.
Yeah, he's definitely there. Like in Ring of Honor when he was a little bit trimmer. Again, shortstop, center field. Now he's put on a little bit of weight, so he doesn't have that same positional flexibility. So I like that comp. Definitely at third base, especially if he's going over the tarp like Arenado. So I think we've got an Arenado, Seth Rollins comp that lines pretty well right there.
That's a tag team. That's what that is. That's a tag team.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I buy into all of that. I think that I think particularly because it's one of the things we forget, the center field thing. It's like he's not thought of as a high flyer, right? He's not he's not like a lucha or whatever, but he really can. He doesn't all the time. Go back and watch that Finn Balor SummerSlam match, the first one for the Universal Championship. Yeah. Dude can go off the ropes, man.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
I like Seth Rollins a lot. A few others that we didn't have pictures of. So we need a big, tall first baseman, right? I was always the mark for Kane, and I wanted to put him there, right? So some people might go Undertaker, whatever. Be basic if that's what you want. Maybe the greatest professional wrestler of all time. You can pick him if you want. But go Kane. Go with that. And then of course you got to go here. The guy who actually walked around with a baseball bat. I think get right in the middle of your order. The Stinger.
Stang. Yeah, and even in his older age, he could be an equipment manager because, again, he's got the bats, right? He's got the equipment.
Oh, absolutely. That is spot on. I'll be honest with you. I think Sting's my starting pitcher. I think he's the wily veteran. Shouts to Cody Devine. This is his favorite pro wrestler of all time. I think Sting is your starting pitcher. I think he's that vet. I think he knows what it takes to be on that main stage. I think he's absolutely that guy that can kind of take these younger cats under his wing and kind of show them what it takes to be the professional. So And yeah, if any batter wants to run up on him for pitching inside, you can find out too. So that's where I'm putting him in. So starting pitcher for Sting.
Got to be cunning, right? You just the older you get as a starting pitcher, and maybe your fastball might fail you a little bit. You got to be a little bit more deceptive in hitting those corners, and I think Sting would do that.
Triple H is a starting pitcher who's now transitioned into a bullpen role. He's John Smoltz, basically, right?
Yeah.
Other than the fact that he blows his pectoral muscle out, throwing a curveball, that wouldn't be good. And, the two maybe most obvious ones that we should mention, the crossovers, you got Mr. Randy Macho Man Savage, Randy Paffa, who actually did play in the minors, catcher, third base in the St. Louis Cardinals organization. And Mr.
Bonesaw is ready.
Bonesaw. And
had to do one.
And don't forget Sid Justice, who very famously was injured and totally missed some time in WCW. Meanwhile, he was still playing. He was still active in his softball league at the time.
No, he was. Is that true? That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're like, wait a minute, hold on. Then again, those are two totally different things. Just hitting a slow pitch softball and drinking a couple brews on first base is a lot different than, taking a brain buster from the Brain Busters,
That's great. I did not know that Sid played softball. That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, you wouldn't think he'd be a big softball guy, but actually was.
That's awesome, man. Wow. Cool.
Oh, man. Will, no scissors in the clubhouse. None for Sid Justice, please.
No, please. No.
Good stories. Now, there was I don't know if you guys remember this. Again, this was during that period where, Drew, I know you and I were kind of out of it. And also, I didn't dabble in TNA very much. I have gone back and since, polished up on that. You got to know what was what. Still a lot of really great matches in the TNA world in the 2000s. But there was like a gimmick where it was like AJ Pierzynski and Johnny Damon came into TNA and I don't know if they were in matches or they're just doing run-ins, but they were straight up doing the thing and hey, you know what? We want to be doing this as well. And really, when you think about it, from that era, Pierzynski and Johnny Damon definitely fit that mold as ball players who could become wrestlers.
Oh, it's got AJ Pierzynski, especially because I grew up in Chicago, so I've always kind of held that if the Rockies are my NL, the White Sox my AL. AJ Pierzynski was if he was not going to play catcher, he was going to be a pro wrestler. That dude, he can talk, he can play
actual heel.
Oh yeah, I love it. It's easy heel, true and true. I love that cat.
To this day, and you'll know this, to this day, probably the biggest human being I've ever seen in person is Frank Thomas.
Yep.
After he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he showed up, literally a double doorway. He filled the whole thing up. Looked great. It didn't look overweight, anything. Looked great, but filled up an entire doorway. Huge man. The original Hurt Business.
That's right.
Hurt, Frank Thomas.
That's right. Oh, that's awesome. Points for the reference. Love it.
Oh, man. All right. We got to get into a few more of these. I'll tell you what, though. This exercise would be perhaps a little bit easier if we were Colton Strickler over on the DNVR Rugby podcast, because there's a lot of those rugby guys who I think could fit in pretty nicely with the way some of those cats are built. Cormac, I don't know if you're into the rugby. We're getting into it over here, learning a little bit about it. It's going to be pretty cool because Infinity Park right here in Glendale, Colorado is going to be known as Rugby Town, USA. The facility was recently designated Rugby Town National Training Center, which is home of the USA Eagles men's and women's rugby 15 teams. So you got to check out all the stuff we've got for you on DNVR Rugby. Learn about the game. Just kind of check some out. There are a bunch of them on YouTube. You can just go and watch. It's a fun sport. Again, it's like pro wrestling too, actually. I think there's a very similar thing to what we were talking about earlier when you watch it on YouTube, you might go, I'm not sure what's going on. You go to rugby, you go to pro wrestling, just one time you'll be like, okay, I'm still not sure I know what's going on, but I think I like this.
Absolutely. How do you not like rugby? It's literally just like a crazier version of football. It's just even more nuts.
Right. That should be their slogan. Do you like football but wish everything was just a little bit more chaotic? Come on down and hang out with rugby. So check out the DNVR Rugby podcast from Colton Strickler, doing a fantastic job over there, all the written content. We're right on top of the epicenter of this thing. Don't get left behind. Be there. Just like going to local Colorado wrestling shows. So you see Otis Dozovich or Bobby Lashley before they become big, or you see Abaddon before she goes huge, or whoever it may be. Hunter Gray is going to be a big thing. Filter, all these cats. You gotta get in on the ground floor. It's like going to minor league baseball. It's like the same reason you go out and see John Gray pitch for the Grand Junction Rockies, the Hartford Yard Goats. Actually, I don't think Gray ever pitched. I'm getting far afield on that. So let's get back
Lars Sullivan. Look up Lars Sullivan's his bio. Yeah, Westminster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many guys are from here, man. You don't even realize it. Vader.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's right. Had a nice match with Will Ospreay. I can't remember. Yeah. I remember there were a lot of front flips, back flip. I forget who was doing it, but it was a very good match.
It happened somewhere.
One of those two guys, or both of them, were doing some real flippy stuff, as they like to say. I can't remember who.
Yeah. Oh, I'm such a fan of that. Rey Mysterio was another one. I got in basically because I like Kane and Rey Mysterio. Mm-hmm. So guys in masks, one really big doing big guy stuff, little guy doing flippy guy stuff. Right. So we can run the gamut there in terms of baseball players as well. We named a couple of them there, a few ball players who would have made some fantastic wrestlers. What would their gimmick be? Cormac, we had the same inclination before the show, but say the name and what's the gimmick? And also, how has this not happened? Give us the guy.
Oh man, so oh god, I'm blanking now. You put me on the spot. Now I'm blanking.
I know, I put it right at you. All right, I'll say it for you, and then you can run with it. But Jason Giambi is where we were at, right? You gotta come out with Jason Giambi.
Jason Giambi is an enforcer. Look at this dude. I mean, he is built like a brick farmhouse. Okay, the guy played for the Rockies and he was 40-something years old and was the most terrifying presence on any baseball field I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay, if you're standing in the middle of a ring and you're, Johnny Bright Shoes, and you're getting ready for your first pro wrestling match, and you're standing there all excited, you're sweaty, you see your folks in the crowd, hi mom, and out comes Jason Giambi, you just lay down. You say, my bad, sir, I'm in your way. Okay, I don't want this to last more than 3 seconds. Jason Giambi should have been a pro wrestler. He should have joined up with the Four Horsemen, and he would have absolutely run with those cats.
Oh man,
I love
straight up, that's the perfect gimmick for him too.
Yeah, he's an
come out with the golden thong.
Oh yeah, classic.
But he did, even with the salt and pepper beard.
Especially with the salt and pepper.
Dude. Actually, that's right.
Salt and pepper beard. Yeah.
Especially with the salt and pepper beard. So we mentioned Frank Thomas. So we got a lot of the big guys in there, right? But I feel like there are some of these other guys, like D. Strange Gordon could have been an interesting lucha guy, or Billy Hamilton could have been a Leo Rush type.
Or Garrett Hampson, those quick cats who, jumping off the second rope. I guarantee, Garrett Hampson is probably able to do a 450 splash right now. He might not know it. I don't know if he's aware he can, but I feel that if you put Garrett Hampson on top of the top rope, my man's doing at least 1 or 2 flips. He probably isn't aware because he hasn't tried it before, but I bet you that happens pretty easily for him.
Can top Snoop Dogg at the very least.
At the very least, yes.
Yeah, that's the gift and the curse. If Garrett Hampson goes to like a trampoline alley, one of those trampoline places, you're like, you shouldn't be going there. This is not good for your baseball career, but you may learn that you can, do a 450 frog splash. I think Trevor Story might be in that group as well. We mentioned, we mentioned that Will Ospreay match. You look at the body types. I think those guys are very similar. I think you could see Trevor Story doing stuff like that, like Ricochet, essentially, for anyone that doesn't follow New Japan Pro Wrestling. Just a guy that can do just about anything, can muscle somebody up, but can also, take some of those high flying moves. He can do it all.
Absolutely. Trevor Story is the kind of cat that could bust out a moonsault, turn around, duck a clothesline, gives me a powerbomb. No question. That's how that goes for him. Trevor
Story's a freak athlete.
Yeah,
he's insane. All right, what do you think about Bud Black as a promotion runner? Not necessarily, because I don't think he's a Vince McMahon heel promotion type. Maybe more of a Steven Regal. With Steven Regal. How old am I? William Regal.
William Regal.
Excuse me. Oh, I think Bud Black could do a pretty solid job of being that sort of tweener, more of a babyface manager, but still a compelling character, right?
Yeah, I definitely think that Bud Black could be a good choice to kind of run MLB PW. I think that Buddy's been around a long time. He's seen a bunch of different talents. He's probably a great talent scout for a lot of the younger talent. I think that he's a great guy that'd be able to kind of see what's working and change things up. Give him the book. You got a great show on your hands.
And imagine that great Bud Black out of the corner of his mouth and eyes smile whenever he books a match he thinks people are really going to like, right? And for tonight's main event.
This is the one right here.
Eric Bischoff. That's the guy we're looking for, I think. He's the Eric Bischoff kind of, right? Yep. He doesn't need to go heel, but even if he just kind of plays the middle where you like him 1 week, maybe not the other.
He's so multifaceted. He doesn't care about, appeasing the fans all the time. He just wants to see results, and he will get his results whether you like it or not. That's Bud Black.
Love it.
Drew, I don't want to steal your thunder, but are you about to suggest that Dick Monfort is somewhat of a Dixie Carter type character?
I would never have said anything like that.
Where were you going on that?
Your words, not mine. Also, yes. One other ball player I wanted to ask, and then if you've got others that you thought of, let us know, or we can move to the next segment. But, of course, from here in town, I think the guy who is already a professional wrestling gimmick is Charlie Blackmon.
Absolutely. Charlie Blackmon is the babiest of baby faces, despite the beard and everything. But there's no way you don't cheer against Charlie Blackmon. This guy is family friendly. He's funny. He is a talented baseball player. You know what he is? You know what Charlie Blackmon is? Charlie Blackmon is Dan O'Brien is what it is. That's what it is. He's got the beard. Yep. He's in great shape. He, is trying his best. He might not necessarily get the win every single night. You might see him fail every so often, but every single time he hits the field, you're excited. You want to see him. Your kids want to see him. Charlie Black should start doing the yes thing.
I was going to say, when the music hits, just he's on a vacation far.
There you go. He's got his own walk-up music built in already. And for the baseball fans, that's, entrance music. Yes. He's already got that built in.
It serves the exact same purpose. Yeah.
Charlie Black is a pro wrestler. Put the belt on him.
Chuck Nasty.
He looked great.
When he goes heel, is he Chuck Nasty from the beginning, or when he goes heel, he goes Chuck Nasty? Or, dare I say, he's somewhat of a Mick Foley character, and he's got the Chuck Nasty that he turns into. And then, you know what? And then he's got his more business character. He's Charles Cobb. Okay. All right. He's more mild-mannered. That's the Mick Foley.
Man, I'm not convinced now. Now we're talking. I'm not sure that Charlie Blackmon is not aware that he's a pro wrestler. Do we know for a fact that Charlie Blackmon's not totally into this idea of being a pro wrestler?
Right. He's a legitimate 6'4", too. He's
from Georgia.
6'2.5", 6'3", and he's easily taller than me. Yeah, he's friendly. Yeah, I guess he got more into the fishing thing.
That's usually how it goes.
We got to get him out to a show.
You make a couple bucks, you move to Colorado, you either go into fly fishing or pro wrestling. You've seen it a million times.
Right. That's right.
Somebody named Dennis Lyons.
Listening, Charlie, tag team, brother. I know some places that need some tag teams. You and me, we're going to run this place. You can, I'll do most of the bumping around, brother. You come in for the hot tag with clean house. It'll be awesome, man. You and me, Charlie. Make this work.
The crowd would go nuts.
Right. Battle in Black.
This guy knows what he's talking about. Dennis Lyons, I think you pronounce it. That would be my father. He does his research. The Hulk had a baseball background, interest by the Yankees and the Reds, the two best teams at that time in the late 70s, those powerhouse teams, the Big Red Machine, aptly named. So there we go. I did not know that.
That's awesome. Learn something every day, right? Learn something in these podcasts. Listen to the DNVR Rockies podcast. You're going to learn something.
Learn something that you're going to use, like this, that Hulk Hogan is very good in high school.
Yeah.
Straight up. And then, of course, I don't know how Larry Walker hasn't been at a wrestling show at some point. Again, Todd Helton, again, these guys with, you've already got the face there, 50% of it's the look.
It is. Well,
the other 50%'s not getting killed in the ring. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and Larry Walker's Canadian, right? So he's got that great technical wrestling blood in him. I bet you Larry Walker had their careers lined up, would have trained at the Heart Dungeon, is what it is.
It's at least near.
At least nearby, Larry Walker would have trained at the Hearts. He's probably that forgotten Heart that we just don't really know about just because the opportunity never really arose. You got Brett, you got Owen, you got Larry. Larry Hart would have been the third Hart brother to really kind of make it. back then in the WWF, man. That's how it would have gone down. I'm telling you.
We may have to get D-Line on the phone and see if we can get like a Hart Foundation version of, a Larry Walker plaque in the Hall of Fame. And it'll confuse everybody. They're like, why is there a pink Larry Walker thing with hearts on it and it's a Hall of Fame plaque?
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's for, the couple thousand people that listen to our podcast. They get it.
It's important. This is important.
All right. I'm very excited for this next thing that we're going to do. And because it is going to be full of beef in a way. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's going to be very beefy. I'm going to highly recommend that you also get your beef situation taken care of from Hassel Cattle Company. I just put in I'm not ashamed to tell you, rather large order. Well, I'll tell you because you get free shipping when you put in an order of over $200, and I'll tell you, I got free shipping. That's how on board I am with a couple of first orders that I've got. Whether you're the bacon, the roughly 12 chuck that I ordered, there's so much. Your beef situation is and everyone has their own beef situation. 0 antibiotics, no hormones, free, and if you use the promo code DNVR, you get 10% off your entire order. So head over to Hassel Cattle Company. That's 2 S's and 2 L's. HASSELL cattlecompany.com. Order some beef that's better for you, better for the environment, better for the animals, and really not that bad for your wallet. Check them out. Like and in some cases their deals make it so that it's better for your wallet than just buying beef at the grocery store if you find the right deal. Check them out. I promise you won't regret it.
Real quick, if you are a DNVR member, head over to our Deal of the Week part of our website. You can get 50% off their ground chuck right now. Get a full 50% off if you are a DNVR member. They're doing a special promo for DNVR members this week. 50% off ground chuck. So get that. It's only, I think the
promo code is DNVR Chuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but go to the app. There's a page on the website that has that. And, just make sure. I think it runs out at next Tuesday at 9 a.m. is when it'll run too. So
get on it, and that's Hassel Cattle Company. HASSELLCATTLE Company.
That's awesome. Hey, you got to eat the beef. You want to get big and strong like Sparky over here.
That Hall of Famer. Shout out to Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, interesting guy.
To say the least, yeah.
Sweetheart, real sweetheart.
So now, Cormac, we really want to put you on the spot, but also give you an opportunity here, because one of the best things in the arsenal of a professional wrestler, as we all know, it's not just about going out there and kicking ass. You got to talk a big game. And here we do a lot more talking than kicking. And so we wanted to give you an opportunity to cut some short promos. We don't have a clock here. 30 seconds to a minute on some entities inside the game of baseball. Let us know, like you're standing in the middle of the ring. Cut us a couple of promos. Kale's going to throw them at us. I don't even know in what order. We'll see what comes up.
Mr. Rob Manfred,
MLB commissioner.
MLB.
Rob Manfred.
Off the bat, this is what I'm starting with? Man.
You got to start with Manfred. You can't even build up. We're going to start at a 10, and we're going to take it up from there.
This is the Vince McMahon of MLB.
It really is. All right, well, you let me know when you want me to start. I got some stuff to say.
All right. And you are good to go.
The thing is, Rob, can I call you Rob? I'm going to call you Rob. You see, Bob, the thing of it is that baseball is America's second favorite pastime, second only to the great sport of pro wrestling, right? And pro wrestling has such a phenomenal lineage, which is yet another thing it has in common with baseball. This great, great, great lineage. But just like people like Sparky can sully the name of pro wrestling, so too can people like Rob Manfred by the decisions that we are forced to continuously put up with. So, Rob, I'm begging you for one fan of the two greatest institutions in American sports history, to who I assume and hope is another, please stop whatever you've been doing. Please get it together. Do not be Eric Bischoff. Find a way to be Tony Khan and fix this thing. Thank you very much. Time.
Woo, like it.
the finale, just the please stop whatever you're doing. Don't be Eric Bischoff. Let's be Tony Khan. That really should be the battle cry.
I had to remember the PG program. PG
And I know you're warming up
Right.
because if this one was last, I know you would have made a couple of Vince Russo references. So that's how I know you're just getting warmed up.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Call me out.
That guy put a piece of metal on himself.
Yup.
Man, brother wins the world heavyweight championship. Says, I want my piece of metal. Oh, wah.
You also put a piece of metal on. Well, if we're talking about Vince Russo put a piece of metal on David Arquette.
He sure did. David Arquette.
Speaking of piece of metal, I have your next challenge.
Oh man.
Thank you, Kalle. Ooh.
Oh,
The Houston
come on.
Asterisks.
Come on, man.
Houston Astros.
Sorry about this, Austin.
Come on.
Oh, okay. All right, man. Again, you know what? On you guys. Whenever you want. You let me know when.
And
asterisks are something that is added at the very end of a citation or a sentence to imply illegitimacy, or at the very least, needing more source. And just like every Astros fan I've ever met in my entire life that could use some extra legitimacy, be it a college degree or a real job, the Houston Asterisks are so great an amalgamation of what makes Houston the trash fire that it is. The team of all these misfits and these guys just trying to do their best, realizing they'll never be good enough and taking whatever shortcut they can to undercut the actual best in the world is such a great metaphor for the Houstonians. I don't care if that's actually what you call them. They don't even really register enough for me to care that much. It's all a perfect example of why exactly that town is such a dumpster fire, and why those same people, the same people that will cheer the Houston Asterisks, will similarly never achieve anything in life legitimately.
And you know what? For anyone that
wow.
doubts whether my man Cormac, myself, and down in front Creasman can get it done, Houston, you could bring your whole 26-man roster. You could bring your 40-man roster, and the three of us could get the job done. You want to make it a Texas tornado match? Do it. You want to make it a Texas death match? We got you. You want to make it a garbage can match?
You don't want that.
We're out on that.
Yeah.
No one wants to go toe-to-toe with a garbage can in your hands, Houston. Time.
Plus, it's, brother, tag team, Sparky. Telling you, man.
We got the color scheme going. We do have that.
Match made in heaven, brother. Match made in heaven.
Do you have a UWO shirt my size?
I actually legitimately might have talked to me. That's awesome. Shouts to Austin Reddick, who is a huge Houston Astros fan. I love you, buddy.
Yeah.
I love you.
He's like, by the way. Oh, wow. All right, Kale. What's the next one?
Dude, come on.
The world champion Los Angeles Dodgers.
I'm this like hateful, awful person on this podcast right now, man. This is rough. Okay.
We're the heels. The Dodgers are the heels here. This is a kind of a Canada Heart
I was going to say
Foundation,
it's
U.S. Stone Cold situation where you cross the lines, you're good here. Maybe outside of Colorado, you might not be able to get away with some of those things, but you're safe. This is a safe place to talk trash about the Dodgers.
Fair. Okay. On y'all. Just kidding, Drew. I'm not going to wait for you because here's what's going to happen. The Los Angeles Dodgers are a lot like Ted DiBiase. You know what I mean? They buy the victory every single time. Yeah, money, laughing all the way to the bank. And this Mickey Mouse ring they won, shouts to Adrian Gonzalez, is not that impressive to me. Just like the $1 million championship, the Mickey Mouse championship that Ted DiBiase also awarded himself, okay? So I'm not even going to go that long at the Dodgers because there's nothing I can say to them that the rest of the baseball world has not already said to them. So while I'm sure they enjoy their 60-game W, when the real season starts and all the actual teams who made actual trades and did actual moves in the offseason put them in their place, shouts to the San Diego Padres, then we will see who was laughing at the end of the season. And I can pretty much guarantee you it will not be the boys in blue time.
Ooh.
Boom.
Heat.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
That was a little
Might
bit
have
more
been
real.
my favorite one so far. Yeah.
I want to see a three-way. I see a three-way dance
what I
between
felt,
Cormac,
man.
the Padres, and Dodgers. That's what I want to see.
We're just going to go beat the Dodgers up in the corner, and I throw the Padres over the top rope. Give me the
That's
pinball.
Mm.
We'll have the mascot of the Padres. We'll have the Friar represent them. We'll have Vin Scully represent the Dodgers. Cormac representing the Rockies. I think the Rockies are going to come out on top on that one.
Yeah, they
This
are.
seems like a winning proposition. Yeah, I like
I think
this.
Vin's not doing anything these days. I think he'd be interested in maybe a wrestling match.
Hey, Vin, I'm calling you out, Vin. You and me in the middle of the ring. Let's find out.
It's about time somebody called him out. Let's face it.
Yeah.
You know,
You've been wrestling for too long, Vin. I know what you want. You complete your broadcasting career, but you want the one prize that's always escaped you, and that's whatever championship I happen to have available on me that day.
he's the original Mr. Anderson with that microphone coming down. You know, that was.
It really is.
To be fair, that was his gimmick first. I will give him that.
That was pretty radical. Love you, Vin Scully.
All right, last but not least,
Right.
and I want you to not hold anything back here, okay? I want that promise.
Yeah, this
before
is
I
your
tell you what it's gonna
opportunity.
be.
Kayla, as long
You
as you're
can't
willing to
hold-
put the explicit tag on this episode, is that what?
Okay, fair. I want you to hold nothing back.
All right.
There he is. Beck
There he
Bennett
is.
from Saturday Night Live. Oh, no. That's
Wait.
they bear a striking resemblance.
Ja-
Kale knows that. He's a
Sir
big SNL head.
Joffrey Bridich, the general, your Colorado. As much time as you need, whenever you're ready.
You know, this one's a tough one, you know, because
The frozenness. There we go. Here we go.
yeah, well, I mean, it's hard because like it's hard because when you're doing wrestling promos, when you're talking, obviously you have to be very careful because when you are talking to somebody in pro wrestling promo, obviously you still respect them and you still want them to succeed, and so you're trying to do what you can to make sure that you're both talking down to them but also propping them up. But the thing is, at a certain point, you do not care anymore about propping them up. At a certain point, you find somebody who does not deserve that kind of respect. And at a certain point, Drew, you decide that they're not even worth your time anymore. And I think that now that time has, in fact, come by. So speaking directly to Mr. Bridich, okay, the idea that someone who is so completely out of their depth and can be put in a situation such as this to be the head of an organization, to be the face of the organization, is as laughable an idea as David Arquette being champion. And I think I might still pick him as a GM because at least he knows how to get people in the building, right? So, I have a picture on my phone, okay? And I really do. I have a picture on my phone. I'll pull it up later if I feel like it, of my mother coming to a baseball game and giving a hug to one Jeff Bridich, okay? We look back on that picture now with the kind of disdain and disgust and anger and resentment that people look back on when I wear my first pro wrestling gear, okay? It's so embarrassing that we put ourselves in that position. And I just feel bad, as I so often do, for the fans that still support this product, not because I do not want you to find enjoyment out of it, because I absolutely do. And I still love the Colorado Rockies. But just like 2001 WCW, there is only so much garbage you can take week in and week out and year in and year out before you finally say, okay, let's maybe get somebody else involved here who can actually run a business. And if that means that I have to simulcast an episode of Nitro with Bridich where I take over ownership of the Colorado Rockies, and then myself, Drew, and Patrick decide to run roughshod over that organization and totally restart and pick the ratings up, and that's what it must be. But the problem is not that. The problem, it comes from on high. Obviously, we'll never get that opportunity. But despite all that, I do want him to succeed. I really do. I want him to be successful at what he does. I don't wish ill upon the guy. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, just like Marco Stunt, you do not belong here. That's all I have to say about that.
Wow, that got real. That was a shoot. That became a shoot real quick there.
That put me on the exact same side of both of those issues too, though, because I'm seen as the defender, and I'm such a mark for Marco Stunt.
I love Marco Stunt. That was the first thing I could think of. He's had a lot of. He's great.
That was so great, Cormac, dude. That was absolutely fantastic. I do have to tell the quick story on the other side of it, because we've told this story on the podcast before, but in 2018, when for the first half of the year I was covering the Rockies by myself before Patrick Lyons really started coming into the mix there, I covered 79 of the 81 Colorado Rockies home games. I missed 2 of them. One was so that I could attend an anniversary show at New Era Wrestling for the return of Ryzen. And there's only a little bit of one part of one match that I missed because, of course, I'm keeping along with the Rockies game. I've left Patrick there for his first time to cover a game all by himself. And Ryan McMahon hits a walk-off home run against the Dodgers. And
iconic.
I know who needs to hear this news immediately. My guy Cormac Battle is a big Rockies fan, I know. So you've heard the other story, those of you listening to the podcast, you've heard that the other half of that story, but you didn't know that the guy I went and told, the man right here, the biggest Rockies fan / pro wrestling fan I know.
Yeah, and I was at that show, I was hanging out, and you just ran up and you were like, dude, you would not believe what just happened. Ryan McMahon hit a walk-off home run. And I was like, brother, I literally don't believe you. Like, that's not true whatsoever. And if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure someone has asked me to watch and record their match. And I sent them the video, and the video of the match is me watching their match and then going, are you serious? For real? Is that what happened?
Turn the camera down. This big spot.
So
Cormac, you know that story. But here's the part that you don't know, or anyone knows, I guess, for that matter, except Drew or I, is that
secrets.
This is backstage. Downstairs in the clubhouse, just outside the clubhouse where we wait, before we go inside to talk to some of the players. That next season, they redo the whole clubhouse. It's beautiful. You can see, images online. We covered it. It's fantastic. It's great for the players. And right outside of Bud Black's office is a still photograph of that moment of Ryan McMahon jumping up for his first walk-off home run against the Dodgers. And every day Drew comes to the ballpark, he gets reminded of one of the 2 games he missed that entire season.
That's amazing.
Unbelievable.
That's art.
I've known Rymac since he was 18 years old. I went and told him, he was like, when I saw him the next day, he was like, dude, how awesome was that? And I was like, I missed it.
That's amazing. I love it.
It's a great show, though.
Great show.
Yeah. I will say, still enjoyed the wrestling show, and y'all should get out to some local ones if you can. Check out, there's a lot of promotions, whether you like the fan-friendly thing at New Eras, you want a little more adult entertainment down at the bar at Primo, you like some lucha libre and comedy. That's a great thing about all the different promotions out here is they're all kind of running in different lanes. You can get different things. If you're down in the Colorado Springs area, head to that one. Those guys put on a great.
Yep.
Man, we really appreciate having you. We'll have to have you back on sometime, and I think it's going to be a wild season for the Rockies. So
yes.
We'll have any number of things. And as Patrick and I think have made clear during this episode, any excuse we can to talk wrestling and baseball is what we're going to try to take. So let's do this again sometime.
Anytime y'all want, man. Listen, Rockies fans, it might be kind of a rough season. You never know. I think they might bounce back personally, but man, I've seen tag team matches go 25 minutes where guys are getting beat down into the ground, but there's always that hot comeback at some point in the match. Rockies are the same way, man. Do not give up on those guys. Charlie Blackmon, greatest baby face in the world. Cheer for him. He will come through for you at some point. I hope. I think. I believe.
Love it, Cormac. Love it. Thank you so much for joining us. This was fantastic. Great job on the promos. Really, way to hit a home run on that.
Thanks, guys. I really do appreciate you having me both here, man. I love both y'all's work, man. So thank you so much for having me here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, check him out. He's at Cormac Battle Pro on Twitter. If you are into pro wrestling, find all those guys. It'll start popping up for you. All the local wrestlers. Follow them, support them, find their stuff on Wrestling Tees. It really makes a huge difference if you're into the arena of this. More than buying the national guys. You buy a local guy's shirt, really makes a huge difference. So check them out because, yeah, it's like rooting for your perpetual underdog Colorado Rockies, man. You go out and you support them. You do your best, and one day, that moment of glory comes, and Abaddon will hold up the AEW Women's Championship.
Yes, she will.
Until that day comes, she will.
She will.
So thank you all so much for listening into this episode. Thank you, Cormac, for joining us. Thank you, Tech Boy, for running the show and getting us all of those images when you need. Make sure you're following everyone on social media, at Drew Creasman, at Patrick D. Lyons, at Cormac Battle Pro, and at Kill Sorbo. Of course, you got to subscribe to the DNVR.com so you don't miss out on any of that written content. Plus, you get discounts on hats, shirts, masks, a bigger beer when you come down to the DNVR bar for one of our Nuggets or Avalanche watch party. Make sure you RSVP because we are at limited capacity. Yeah. And just hang out with us in the Discord. We've got a pro wrestling. When you subscribe to the DNVR.com, you can come in our chat that's just dedicated to on over the weekend, whatever we're looking at next. And I'm sure once local shows really start kicking back up again, we'll be organizing some get-togethers, DNV. Unless we're at New Era, then we'll be drinking some soda and we'll have a really good time. So thank you all for listening into this episode. Continue to be absolutely awesome out there. I promise you we will continue to be Tech Boy, Patrick Lyons, Cormac Battle, and Drew Creasman in here. And until next time, we will see you out there.
Yes.